Yesterday we heard an item of news from Buckingham Palace that signals, in some ways, a departure from tradition and perhaps a new precedent in respect to the coronation, and that is the choice of the pages of honour who will attend the King and the Queen. They are to include Prince George of Wales. In this video, I'll explain who the pages are, what they do, and why this choice is in some ways departing from convention and may be indicative of other possible changes we may see at the coronation in 4 weeks' time. April's issue of my magazine The Antiquary is now available. Articles this month are on dubious princesses, caves, girdles and Dick Turpin the Highwayman. Thanks to all my readers and subscribers for your kind support. Purchasing The Antiquary magazine helps support this channel directly. Follow the link above if you would like to subscribe or purchase the latest copy or any back issues. A page is an attendant, a servant to a great personage, and there are quite a few pages within the royal household. The personal servants of the sovereign and senior members of the royal household are called pages of the backstairs. These are all adult servants. The pages of honour are somewhat different. They are usually younger boys in their teens, and their job is to attend on the sovereign at state occasions such as coronations and state openings of Parliament, Garter Day, etc., etc., and they're primarily there to help that person manage their robes. As I have discussed in other videos, the robes of the King and Queen have long trains, and they cannot move around in them without some assistance. The role of the page of honour is to bear the weight of the train of the robe. The pages chosen by the King for the coronation all have a personal connection to him in some ways. As well as his grandson, Prince George, who is 9, the King has also chosen Nicholas Berkeley, who is 13, and is the grandson of Sarah Troughton, who is the King's second cousin and one of the Queen's companions. Lord Oliver Cholmondeley, who's also 13, is the younger of the twin sons of the Lord-in-Waiting to the King, the Marquis of Cholmondeley, the former Lord Great Chamberlain, and Ralph Talmash, who is 12, the fourth of the pages, is the son of one of the King's godsons. The choice of Prince George, a prince of the blood royal, to be involved in such a role would have been absolutely unthinkable a generation ago. For the role assigned to him in the coronation now is a role of service. This is a real innovation, but I think it's an absolute masterstroke. One day Prince George will be walking into Westminster Abbey to be crowned himself, and it's good for him to see firsthand what that involves. The Queen's pages are even more personal than the King's. She has chosen 3 of her grandsons. Twin boys, Gus and Louis, aged 13, are the sons of her daughter Laura Lopez, and 12-year-old Frederick is the son of her son Tom Parker Bowles. The 4th page is her great-nephew, 11-year-old Arthur Elliot, who is the grandson of her sister Annabel. The fact that the Queen has chosen to have boy pages is interesting too. The last 2 Queen consorts, Queen Elizabeth in 1937 and Queen Mary in 1911, had maids of honour. And of course, the late Queen Elizabeth II had maids of honour at her coronation in 1953. In 1902, Queen Alexandra was attended by boy pages, but the tradition before that was for the Queen to be attended by maids of honour. Queen Alexandra was a bit of an anomaly. So this is an interesting departure in practice. Generally speaking, the pages at a coronation were not so personal a choice. They were chosen from the aristocracy, usually from among the eldest sons of earls, and later of all the upper echelons of the aristocracy, dukes and marquises too, with no sense that the choice was personal. Queen Elizabeth's maids of honour were all the unmarried daughters of dukes, marquises and earls. Lady Glenconner, one of the late Queen's maids, remarked a number of years ago that they were chosen primarily for their look and their figure. The pages of honour have a specific uniform to wear, which is essentially late 17th century. A scarlet frock coat trimmed with gold lace, a cravat, buff-coloured breeches, stockings, and black patent shoes with buckles. What is interesting is that Prince George, had he attended the coronation in any other capacity, would have been quite entitled to wear a velvet robe trimmed with gold and a coronet. I imagine he will be dressed in the same uniform as the rest of the pages. I'm also interested in the number of pages, only 4 each. That follows precedent from the distant past in some respects. At the coronation of James II, he was attended by only 4 pages and the Master of the Robes, but they were all grown-up pages. They were all the grown-up sons of earls. Now, the length of the train of the British sovereign's robes did get longer and heavier as time went on, and that probably explains why in recent centuries the number of pages has increased. George IV, who had a ridiculously heavy state robe and was of course fat and out of shape, had 8 pages and was also attended by the Master of the Robes. At the 3 coronations of the early 20th century, the king always had 9 pages. In 1936, the role of Master of the Robes was abolished and replaced with that additional 9th page. Queen Alexandra in 1902 had 6 male pages, but all the other queens of the 20th century, following earlier precedent, have been attended by 6 maids of honour. Queen Mary in 1911, Queen Elizabeth in 1937 had 6 maids of honour and the Mistress of the Robes in attendance. Queen Elizabeth II, as sovereign, was also attended by 6 maids of honour and the Mistress of the Robes. And one of the maids of honour, Lady Willoughby de Eresby, commented in recent years that it was hard work moving the train of the Queen's robe. It was like moving a carpet. So reducing down the number of pages to 4 is going back in some respects to a much earlier precedent. The age of the pages at the forthcoming coronation is rather younger than at previous coronations. Prince George, aged 9, will be the youngest of the pages, and he's going to struggle to do his job if the robes are as cumbersome as they were at previous coronations. Clearly, the robes of the King and Queen and May will have trains that are long enough to justify the need for 4 young pages, but their age and number suggests to me that the robes will be nowhere near as heavy and as lavish as those of previous sovereigns and consorts. The velvet robes of state and coronation robes were not only long, but they were extremely heavy too, because they were lined and trimmed with considerable quantities of ermine, decorated with yards of gold lace and with lavish embroidery. I may well be wrong, but I suspect that we will see the coronation robes of the King and the Queen considerably redesigned, perhaps with the ermine linings and trimmings, which will be the main weight creator dispensed with, but we'll have to see. Thanks very much for watching.